Connor, Tiki and Tierney, how you doing today?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Yeah, man,
no, we're good. So let's dive into this draft because it could go in so many different places. How many quarterbacks do you have going in the top 10? Because that's what everybody's focused on. There could be a run on quarterbacks. Some of them may fall, but I doubt it. I know some people are saying Justin Fields could drop. I don't see it happening. But how many do you have going in the top 10?
I think it's a lock that 5 go in the top 10. It really is. And a lot of people sit there and go, well, someone's got to fall. Well, not really. We're going to see the run on trades, and we've already seen it happen. We know Trevor Lawrence is going number 1. We know Zach Wilson is going number 2 to the New York Jets. And then the Niners, something really interesting I heard very recently, guys, is that they did not make that trade to 3 with just one of the quarterbacks in mind. They like this class so much that they made that trade and said, hey, we got a lot of work to do on Mac Jones, on Justin Fields, and Trey Lance, kind of similar to what the Jets did. I mean, BT, I know you remember in 2018 how early they made that trade, not necessarily knowing who would fall at the time with 2 teams in front of them.
Yep.
And then you have the wild card that's the Falcons. But when it comes down to it, there's so many quarterback-needy teams that we're going to see all 5 of those main guys go in the top 10 picks.
That's amazing. Connor, what did you make of it was reported by somebody and, verified account, somebody with a professional credential. It's largely been refuted, though. I don't know that it's been officially shot down. What did you hear about the Niners calling the Jets and offering the 12th overall pick for Darnold? And I have a rough time believing this, that Joe Douglas shot it down because he hadn't yet had a chance to see Zach Wilson in person, so he couldn't do that without seeing that the shoulder was good. Is there any merit to that report?
Not really in my eyes. I think that's just an insane return for the Jets to shoot down at that time. I know when they hired Robert Saleh and the staff that came with him, with Mike LaFleur, they were big fans of Sam, but they also knew the financial implications here of drafting a new quarterback. The fact that both sides felt they needed a fresh start. So if they got the call with that kind of return, I think it would have been a longer conversation. Now, I just wonder if we're missing details there, right? Maybe did the Jets have interest in sending pick 23 in Sam to move up to 12? That's something that would make more sense. But just number 12 straight up for Sam Darnold, that's just not realistic.
I thought so. Okay, go ahead, T.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I mean, come on.
I agree. That's not realistic as well. He just hasn't proven it.
And I like the guy, but still.
Yeah. Look, there are a lot of interesting. Get off the quarterbacks for a minute because we're so enamored with them. But there's some really good talent. Both BT and I had this conversation a couple days ago on the defensive side for sure. Wide receivers as well. And let's stay there because I think that's the one that's most interesting. Jamar Chase, as we know, opted out, and Devontae Smith had this ridiculous year. Waddle, it was supposed to be maybe better, but he got hurt. Like, how do you break down this wide receiver class, and which one of all of these really great college players is likely to go first, and to whom?
Yeah, they're special. I mean, they really are a special group. I know everybody got really excited last year, and I think last year's class might have been deeper, but this year's class has more high-end talent at the top. And I think that's why you're probably going to see potentially all 3 of those pass catchers you mentioned probably go in the top 11 picks, honestly, or they have a chance to at least. And I think to answer, who the first one would be, I think it's Jamar Chase at 5. I think Cincinnati is really comfortable in that spot. I think wisely they've listened to Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow has really, banged the table to bring Jamar Chase to Cincinnati, reunite them. We know how special that combination is. And I think when you look at it, at the end of the day, it just makes a lot of sense for them to get that guy that as a 19-year-old, right, when he did last play, as a 19-year-old, he was running by guys that now start in the NFL. I mean, it's special film, that national championship season. So then you get into the other 2. Jalen Waddle, I think, is really the closest thing we're going to see to Tyreek Hill, just that special game-changing speed that he changes the game when the ball is not in his hands, the kind of threat he poses to a defense. So I look at it and just kind of wonder, now, where did the landing spots fall for these guys? And I think it kind of feels like the latest they can go. The Giants at 11, I don't think they're done with wide receivers. The Eagles at 12, and even the Chargers at 13. They want to build around Justin Herbert. They made a lot of free agent investments in the offensive line to leave things open for them in this draft. And Jalen Waddle's speed fits there really well, too. So those guys are going to go really early, along with Kyle Pitts, a great pass catcher. I think we're going to see those 4 pass catchers kind of go as no-brainer top 13 picks.
So we're talking to Connor Rogers, college football NFL draft analyst for Bleacher Report. So there's 2 other receivers, and we've had both on the show. Bateman from Minnesota. More recently, we had Rondale Moore on, who had a sick pro day. I think he ran a 4.29. He was sub 4.3.
Oh,
and yeah, Tiki flew. And he told me you were off that day. He said if I run below, if I don't break 4.3, I'm going to be unhappy. He barely broke 4.3, so I would think he's happy. But you know what's amazing, Connor? For a smallish guy in terms of height, he bounces off people. He runs through people like Moore really looks for contact. That's visible on his tape. So we know the other receivers will go before Bateman and Moore. But is there that much of a drop-off between those guys and the last 2 that I mentioned?
God, you really would think so the way people talk about them, but I don't see it. Bateman is special to me. He's a round 1 player. I look at him and think, the releases off the line of scrimmage, very, very similar to Keenan Allen, a guy that just coached by P.J. Fleck, who has done a marvelous job with wide receivers for a long time, well before he was a nationally known name. He knows how to get open, Rashad Bateman, and he knows how to do it in traffic, and they haven't had the best quarterback play there where the numbers are going to shock you or anything like that. He ran really well at his pro day. So I look at Baltimore in the first round. They could not get a wide receiver to come there in free agency. They really, really had to wait till it was bargain shopping time for whatever reason. So they can use the draft to solve that. And you look at Rondale Moore, a special athlete. And I know everybody's overreacting because he measured at 5'7" instead of 5'9". Look, guys, he's small, but he's short. He's not necessarily tiny. Like you said, he's compact. He's built like Steve Smith, where he wants to run through you. But he also has this 4.3 speed. He jumped out of the gym. Phenomenal athlete. I've seen him get open on the outside. So, sure, you want him in the slot. You want to use him in these offenses that are going to use a lot of jet sweeps and motion and screens just to get the ball in his hands. But the guy can win one-on-ones and stretch the field as well. So I think they're great players. I think they're, Bateman I have in round 1, Rondale Moore, a top 40 pick. If someone took him in round 1, I would get it because he creates his own yards, and he's a quarterback-friendly player, and teams need more of those guys.
Connor, 20 seconds. Which team has the most pressure on them to draft well, and why?
I think it's the New York Jets, and I think Joe Douglas has positioned himself really, really well to do it. We know they're taking Zach Wilson at 2. They got holes at interior offensive line and corner and could even use a running back at some point. Listen, they're equipped to do it well. 23, 34, 66. They got to hit on these picks, but they're in a good spot to get it done.
Oh, I like the way that sounds. Connor Rogers, Bleacher Report. Good work, man. Keep cranking out the good stuff. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate
you,
Connor.
Man. They do great stuff over there. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.